So when you think about kimchi, you automatically think, oh, you have to go get kimchi at some hipster grocery store. You got to go to Whole Foods, or you got to like go to some, I don't know, eco-fascist grocery store to get yourself a $12 jar of kimchi, a really small jar. But you don't have to do that. You could actually make kimchi from any vegetable. And if you have a garden and you're growing vegetables, you can literally make kimchi out of any of those vegetables. You can make it from carrot, you can make it from cucumber, you can make it from mustard green, you can make it from your daikon radish, both the root and the greens. You can make it from collard greens, turnips, whatever. So that's what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna show you how to make kimchi with your own stuff, and I'm gonna be making it out of turnip, not just the turnip root, but turnip greens as well. So here are the turnips that I have peeled so far. And I just cut the tops off and I cut the tail off. And you want to cut the tail. And just gently pull back. It's really that simple. I'm going to put the turnips through a cheese grater. I'm going to grate them so that I can have a nice sauerkraut shredded texture. But instead of cabbage, we are going to be using a cousin of cabbage, the turnip. The reliable, modest, humble turnip. So let's do this. It's very simple. Just put the turnip on the cheese grater and shred. And look, already, look at that. Beautiful, beautiful shreds, like shredded cheese. One thing that I almost forgot to mention about turnips, the bigger they, almost dropped that. The bigger they are, the more bitter they're going to be. So when you pick them young, they're sweeter. I like to pick mine big because I like big ass vegetables. I don't like to wait for months to pick out some small little vegetable. I like a big vegetable. Go big or go home. And you can take the vegetables from your garden and just simply do this concept. You're gonna get different textures depending on the vegetables that you use. Yes, that's very true, but nonetheless, you can still follow this concept and get that nice, snappy, fizzy, funky kimchi taste that you love. And you can see it's almost like sauerkraut. And this is just from 8 or 9 turnips. And then I have the greens, which I will also be fermenting in a separate jar. So another thing about fermenting vegetables is you can also be very, very creative because it is just a concept. So you can add in some color. And a great way to add color is to put beetroot. And since you can really ferment any vegetable, if you add some shredded beetroot to your mixture, you will get an even redder color, because kimchi already has a red color, but that red color comes from the crushed Korean chili flakes. If you add beetroot, then you get an even deeper crimson color. So I'm going to shred up some beetroot and put it in the fermentation and watch that beetroot make a nice red dye with your kimchi. Look, you can see the shred. See how beautiful that is? And that's going to make your red color. My hand is already bloodied up. All right, that's how thick the color is. It's like blood. It's pure crimson color. So here's the thing about bacteria, because people love talking about bacteria and good bacteria and bad bacteria. You want to kill off the bad bacteria. People need to start eating more spicy food. I really believe this. Start eating habaneros, serranos, jalapenos, like really, really hot, spicy food. So say, oh, it's too hot. I don't like it, it's too hot. That's good for you. Think about it. What gives even more of a presence of that lactobacillus bacteria in the kimchi is the spicy, crushed Korean red pepper flakes. Because bad bacteria doesn't like spicy food. But then you have this bacteria that thrives with the hot chili flakes. That's the bacteria you want in your system, because if that bacteria can handle hot spicy chili, that bacteria can handle killing off the bad bacteria. That's the bacteria you want in your system. So the beetroot makes a very, very strong red color, but there's another thing that we tend to throw away that also makes a very good red color, and that is the leaves. I'm going to add salt. Not too much, but here I'm just adding kosher salt. And just mix. What the salt is going to do is extract all the water. And then, after you're done mixing, you want to let it sit for about 2 hours so that all that water can extract out. And you can feel it already. You can feel, look at that, look at that, look at that. Look at all that juice. Look at all that water. So I'm gonna let that rest for about 2 hours. Now I'm gonna do the same exact thing with the turnip greens. Put some turnip greens, and then salt. Salt it out. That salt, you don't even need a whole lot of salt. That salt immediately starts breaking down the cell wall of these leaves. As you can see here, just after giving it a simple massage, you can see how much the greens have reduced in size. Now they're just taking about half of the bowl. But you can see, just taking my hand and squeezing them, you can see that green juice coming out, and that's exactly what you want. That's the salt doing its job. So I'm just gonna let it sit here for about 2 hours. Kimchi is really just a concept. It's a concept of fermenting your vegetables, getting that lactobacillus in your system. How do you do it? You don't necessarily have to use Napa cabbage. In Korea, I've seen them use mustard green, cucumber, carrot, daikon radish, all that stuff. And, you know, fermenting your vegetables is pretty universal in Asia. For example, the Hmong people will ferment mustard greens. I don't really follow recipes, I follow concepts. And the concept of kimchi is simply getting a vegetable, chopping it up, and then mixing it with salt, allowing it to sit in the salt for about 2 hours, letting that salt extract the water from it, and then taking rice flour, boiling it with a little bit of water, making that rice flour water mixture nice and thick. Once it becomes thick, let it cool, and then you simply mix that mixture. You mix that rice flour slush with some Korean crushed dried chili flakes. This is very important. Fish sauce, and then you take yourself some ginger root, onion, and garlic. You take that ginger, onion, and garlic mix, and you put that in the slush, in that rice flour slush with the Korean crushed dried chili flakes and the fish sauce. And then you mix that into the vegetable. You put it in a fermenting jar, and you let it sit for 5 days. And guess what? You have fermented vegetables. It really is that simple. It's like making sauerkraut. It's a concept. So what's going to attract the lactobacillus, including all the other alliums and the chili and all that, is this stuff. This is the slurry. And what it is very simple. It's simply water and rice flour that's boiled together. And when you boil the water and the rice flour together and whisk it in, it thickens into a really, really thick substance. It thickens into a slurry, or like a slush. And so we're gonna let this cool down. We don't wanna put this when it's hot into the vegetables, because if you do that, you kill everything in it, and you basically cook the vegetables, and you're gonna ruin the whole thing, and just throw it in the trash. All right, so we have the ginger root, the garlic, and the onion ready. So I'm gonna be using 2 jars to make this kimchi. And they're actually really good because they come with these. And these tubes, they allow the air to escape because the bacteria is gonna be living inside your kimchi. So they allow the gas to escape, but they don't allow any bacteria to come in. The water blocks bad bacteria from entering, but it allows air to escape. And I'm gonna add a little something of our own, a little bit of this garlic chili paste. In the Middle East, they call this shatta. And it's a garlic chili paste. It's pretty good. And it's gonna add an extra kick and more redness to it. So let's just do this real quick. Chili flakes in. And yes, oh, it's too much. It's not. For this, it really isn't. Twist that in. A little bit of the Thai fish sauce. That's about a good enough amount. You can taste it before adding it in, and if it's to your liking, then add it. If it's not, then add a little bit more and then just adjust for flavor. And that's gonna make it even more red. Let's do the greens first because I don't want to get anything red. So I'm gonna do this one first. And let's do half of the ginger, half the garlic here. Same thing, onion. Ginger, garlic, done. And look at that onion. It's that beautiful red color. Looks like pickled onions. This is the end result. I'm gonna put half in this bowl, half in the other. So first the green, a little more, and then the beets and the turnip. So let's mix. People say you gotta, use gloves because the peppers will burn your hands, but I've done this before. It doesn't burn your hands. That should be it. And that's it for now. So we're just gonna let it sit. So it's been about 8 days since I began the fermentation process of both the kale and of the turnip and beet mix. And so the goal is to make kimchi. The goal is to make kimchi from any vegetable. That's the point of this video, to teach you how you can make kimchi from any vegetable. So first I'm gonna try out the kale, and then I'm gonna try out the turnip. So. It has a really nice acidic smell. It has a really good fermentation kimchi smell to it. All that, you see the bubbling? See all that? That's gas. That's a great sign. That means fermentation is happening, or it has been happening. So that's a really, really good sign. Lots of bubbles. That means there's life. It means this thing is alive. So let's try this out. Let's try this out. So this is it right here. This is the kimchi. Kale kimchi, everyone. Let's try this out. It has a good fermented taste to it. It's not gonna be your Napa cabbage texture. because it's a different vegetable. But it does have the good, fermented, funky, soury taste that you want when you're eating kimchi. The texture is different, but the taste is definitely there. And because it has ginger and garlic, you do get that ginger and that garlic taste with it on your palate. So definitely worth your time. Just like the kale kimchi, look at that. All those beautiful bubbles. That means this is fermented. Let's try this out. It has a beautiful color. Aesthetically speaking, this is a lot better than the kale kimchi. I mean, it has that beautiful red color. It really is beautiful to look at. But let's try this out. This is the turnip and beet kimchi. Has a sauerkraut texture, which is great. That is really good. It's sweet because of the beets. The beets have natural sugar, so it's sweet, it's sour. It has that delightful fizzy taste to it. Has that good fermented taste to it, and it's just beautiful. This, yeah, definitely worth your time. So the whole purpose of this little experiment that I did was to show that you can make kimchi out of any vegetable, like truly out of any vegetable. And you can ferment any vegetable you have. So it's not about a recipe. People think it's about a recipe, you need the Napa cabbage. It's about a concept. With the vegetables that you have in your backyard, you can make kimchi. Be it cucumber, carrot, radish, daikon, it could be Napa cabbage, could be just regular kale, collards, turnip, beet, whatever. You can ferment or you can make kimchi out of any vegetable. And that's really the bottom line of this whole video. So,
What is it good for?
with this recipe, not only will you be having preserved food in your house, but you are going to be adding to your gut very, very helpful bacteria, the lactobacillus, which is going to kill the evil bacteria in your stomach. You have to treat your body as though it's a garden bed. So how do you raise vegetables? You don't raise vegetables just by raising vegetables. You raise vegetables by raising your soil and by raising things like earthworms and beneficial bacteria and fungi in your soil. So because we are soil, we are earth with souls, we have to treat our bodies like soil because we are soil. So how do you treat your body? Like you would treat soil. You have to put in the beneficial bacteria into your gut. And you're not going to get beneficial bacteria by just eating meat. You have to raise that bacteria by fermenting food or by eating things like yogurt, things that are going to have that good bacteria, and putting it in your system. And that's going to give you that beneficial bacteria to better your digestion, better your immune system, and it's just going to benefit you physically overall. And that's always good. So try this experiment out. I definitely recommend it. I'm going to be doing this for years. I know that. There's just no doubt in my mind, because once I got the hang of fermenting, I'm addicted. That's it. I'm going to be doing this all throughout the year. Fermenting and pickling. And because of that, you have preserved food. You can keep food in your house. It's like once you understand the concept, you can go on with it for your whole life. So yeah, definitely give this a try. And yeah, you guys just heard some theology. God bless.